steps involved in our process here at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the first major step is enrollment. We never want to force anybody into mentoring because it's a big part of big part of their life. So a volunteer will reach out and we will just kind of give them an initial idea of what the program looks like, our 2 programmatic options. After that, we will send them an application. And if everything looks good and they're interested, we will do an interview with them, and that's a pretty lengthy process. Usually the interviews take like an hour and a half. We really want to get a good idea about the volunteer, what they're like, their interests, so that we can make the best matches possible. We will run background checks on every volunteer, and that will include a public domain search, just kind of a general search about them, and then a more in-depth search with a private organization, and then also on the sex offender watch list. We will also do reference checks, 3 to 4 reference checks with spouse or family, people that know this volunteer very well. So after the background checks and the reference checks, if everything goes through, then we will do a fingerprinting process with that volunteer. That's kind of a new step we've added. So if everything comes back well through that, then the volunteer is cleared, and we will go over ground rules and guidelines with the volunteer, and kind of give them a rundown of the programs and what their match will look like, give them an orientation to be a volunteer, and then they're good to go. They're cleared to be a BIG. So then on the other side of that, we'll do enrollment for our children, and children come to us in a couple of different ways. Their parents will either reach out to us and say that they're interested, or a teacher will refer the child. And so either way, we'll get consent from the parent and the child, and then we'll do a similar but less in-depth process to the volunteers. So we'll do an interview for the parent and the kid and really just get to know the kid and, again, their interests and personalities. And then we'll also just kind of hear from the parent about what the kid's needs are and why they're involved in that program. They'll also have an application as well, and so we can kind of get all the logistic information. And then we'll cover ground rules and guidelines as well for the parents and the child, and get kind of some of the paperwork out of the way. And then after that, both the child and the volunteer are ready to be matched, and they will be added to our wait list. And then as soon as we feel like we have a volunteer and a child that are a good fit, then we'll move to our matching process.
Matching is one of our favorite parts of the job. What it entails is introducing a little with their mentor. And so what we really value is creating matches that are sustainable and are based on common interests. We work to really identify what motivates both individuals and what will create a relationship that will be really supportive and healthy for both parties. So first we have a pre-match meeting, and the pre-match meeting is held with the parent and the volunteer only. And this is a really good opportunity for them to share a little bit about their expectations, as well as kind of some concerns that they might have before introducing the child to the match. This is a really good opportunity for them just to share a little bit about the child's background, their interests, and kind of what the parent wants to see happen through the relationship. If the pre-match meeting goes well and both parties are interested in moving forward, we'll move to a match meeting where we introduce the child to the mentor, and from there they begin meeting regularly.
Once a match is made, a large part of our job goes to match support. So when we match people, they're not just off on their own, they get support from a staff member, and that takes up a lot of time. The biggest piece of match support is communication. Lots of conversations. So we check in with the parents, the little and the big, once a month, if not more, for new matches, and then once every 3 months for long-term matches. And the reason we do those check-ins is we only know how matches are doing if we're communicating. And so we try to cover a lot of important areas for each check-in. First and foremost is child safety. We want to make sure that the child feels safe and comfortable, the parent is comfortable with what the big and the little are doing together, and that the big feels comfortable doing what they're doing in a safe manner. So we talk about match activities, we talk about what's going on for the kid at school, what's going on at home. We find out how each party's feeling about the match, if they want to change anything. And depending on what we find out, that either makes our job really easy or it adds to our workload. So if there is a concern with school, we try to help the kid out, help the little out by getting them extra support. If the big feels like maybe the parent isn't respecting money so much during match activities. We have those hard conversations with the parent so we can get the match all on the same page. So we're really kind of like the broker of the relationship. We're the middleman to make sure everyone's on the same page. So sometimes it's just a matter of us speaking to each person, and sometimes it's a matter of us all getting in the same room together and having those hard conversations. And really the only way this thing works is communication and consistency. So our match support part of this job is to make sure that that's happening. During different times where things might be more difficult, we sometimes serve as like a resource hub. So during, obviously during this pandemic, we've helped a lot of families in need get food, get extra support with academics, really try to help with more than just the match. A lot of the time, the match is like our window into these kids' lives, and that lets us know what they need. So we try to go above and beyond than just the match. We administrate surveys. So there's surveys once we start a match. We do a lot of baseline surveys to see where the little or where the kiddo's at, and then we reapply those surveys later on down the line to see if things have improved or if there's things we could be doing to improve different aspects of their lives. And so it's not the most glamorous part of the job, but surveys are really important. And for each of the things I just mentioned, whether it's conversations we have through check-ins or surveys, we then enter that into our database called MatchForce. So every conversation we have on the phone, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes, we typically do have to put that into our database and make sure it's documented for a lot of reasons. We can go back and look at how things have changed in the match. We can make sure that we're doing everything we need to do to keep everyone safe. It's a really important step of what we do. Another important part of our job for supporting the match and making sure that there's really a nice container for the match is offering a match closure. And so a match closure can happen for a variety of reasons. So let's say the kid graduates high school, or the big moves away out of state. Whatever the reason might be, we have a similar closure process as to our matching process, meaning we'll have a closure meeting with the big, the little, and the parent or guardian. And it's really just a nice way for them to kind of commemorate their match. Bringing strangers together it's not normal. So we want to really make sure that they're able to get everything they can from it by discussing things that they like the most, things that they learned together, things that maybe were out of their comfort zone but they appreciated. And it's also a really nice way for us to gather information and find out, like, what could I do as a program manager better? What could our organization do better? Are there trainings that you need? What can we do to make sure we're doing the best job that we can to support the match? A little goes a long way. So it's a lot of little steps that lead to something big and impactful for the kids that we work with.
Yeah, our work wouldn't be possible without the volunteers who make this program what it is. The mentors who invest their personal time and who invest their lives to support the kids in our community. We also couldn't do it without the staff support, working together as a team, and then finally our board and executive director who ensure that all of our grants and funding and details are in place that keep our organization going.
Yeah, and it's really rewarding work. It's really great for us to be the matchmakers in this community, to kind of like create friendships that hopefully are gonna last through the match lifetime and through the rest of their lives. So it's really important work that we do, and we enjoy it every day.